So my dad was never there, never really existed. He was a fucking alcoholic and he was gone, and that's in the past. I'm not angry about it, but I mean, I'm just gonna state the fact that that's exactly what happened. He was never there. He never existed. It's just my mom until she died, and then I had to go to him. Um, so my brother basically took on the parenting act and became my dad in a sense, which kind of put tension on our relationship. I feel that my mom, there was a definite reason as to why she died. If we were to, if she were still alive now, I think the creative outlet for her, for me, for my brothers would be a little bit different. And we wouldn't, basically, long story short, she had to die in order for me to do what I wanted to do and my brothers to do what they wanted to do. 2010 or 9, December 21st is when I had to figure out how to play all the instruments that you currently hear, because the band and I didn't work out. And I wanted to do everything myself. And there were certain people, like managers and stuff, that believed in me. And not that she's around, because she sucks, but my first song, I was at work one day, which I still do, unfortunately, for a living. Hopefully that'll change soon. The boss basically sent us home, so I went home. And I started fiddling around on the piano, because I was pretty psyched about it. And I came up with the song Plastic Mannequin, which is the very first song I ever created, from front to back, vocals and everything. And I remember coming up with that song, and I've been fiddling with a few songs before that. I'm not quite sure how they were going to go. Songs were coming out like really quick, and there was no stopping me whatsoever. And to me in my head, I just figured it out when I was recording or playing with drum sounds or playing with guitar sounds or different whatever atmosphere sounds. It just all seemed to click. But before that song, I don't know what happened. I just couldn't figure it out. Anything I do, whether it be catchy or whatever, just something that really eases or excites the senses, and I'm not gonna tone that down to be average like a lot of bands now. They do the same thing over and over and over, and I never want to do the same thing over and over and over on every song, and I try to introduce it a little different. The name Cityhead basically came from me realizing who I was and who Ayn Rand has depicted in her characters in her books. It's a person who came and created the fire, or the legislator, or the motor, or the engine, or the shoe, or the skyscraper, the phone, the iPhone, all those products that we have within a society, those things have value. The person who had to create those had to think completely out of what was already created. 90% of the songs, 95% of the songs are about love, and I find that very tiring because I find it an unrealistic representation of what exists. When I look around or when I have conversations with my friends, whether it be serious or not, love is definitely not 95% of the conversation. That's what I value more than love, is creativity, because love never really worked out for me in the past or the present or the future. But creativity always has, because it's the only reason as to why I wake up. Not love, but creativity. Most people write songs. I've figured out that most people don't write songs about anything. And I had so much to say, so much I stood for, or what have you. And I decided that maybe I should inject something that I stand for, or something that I want to interpret or have interpreted in my music to be in there. Everybody who's ever been interviewed, they're always asked at the end of an interview, they're always asked, hey, what would you tell somebody who's aspiring to be as successful as you? And the interview, or the person who's being interviewed basically says, just do it. And that's exactly what I did. I built a band. I found a band of whom I completely disagree with on every level. And I eventually went my own way, but it was a great experience for a few shows here and there. And of course everybody's family and friends came, so it was packed, because everybody's first show was like that. And it was my first show ever, but I remember standing on on the bar, on people's tables, on people's chairs. I was very, very interactive. But eventually they told me that I was a little bit too charismatic for them because they all stood around and didn't do any showmanship whatsoever and didn't move and did something that's from the 80s and they thought it was cool. They were boring to watch. They didn't move at all, ever. And when they did, it was really corny and you didn't believe them. And so I had a lot of charisma and they're going to put me down and tell me that was wrong. And I carried that onto City Head. So you get to see all of that when I perform. It's funny at a lot of the Juno Awards or the MTV Awards or the Grammy Awards, people will say, "Oh, you won this award," whatever. They come up and they say, "Oh, well, thank you to everybody. I couldn't have done it without you," which is a big lie, because they could do it without you. They just can't make a living off it. They could have created the exact same product. They couldn't have made a living without you. And so when I create things, it's for me. When I create music, it's because I want to challenge myself. If I challenge somebody else in the process, that's incredible. If I touch somebody else in the process, that's incredible. When I do shows, 50% of that's for me, because to me it's like a venting period, and 50% of that, I always take the fans into consideration and what they would want. The website I want to create, I don't want to just create a album and put it out. I'll never create just an album and put it out. Basically what I will do is, when I'm done a song, I will upload it to my website and everybody can take it. You can take it. You can take it for free, you can donate money if you want, or you can pay per month. Whatever you feel is fair as a fan. There's absolutely no pressure to do any of that. Take it for free, I don't care. Just come to a show. Nothing suffocates you more than the passing of everyday human events. Isolation is the oxygen mask you make your children breathe in to survive. And it's just those who live in naivety want to live in naivety and don't want to know the truth whatsoever. It's a reminder to me as the person I do not want to be. The world is wrong about beauty because there's no size, there's no skin color, there's no hair color, eye color, there's no way you should talk, way you should dress at all. Beauty is basically doing the best with what you have. I know I can make a living off this, no problem. And this is all new, Facebook. And I decided to put my songs on Facebook. Weren't even mixed or mastered yet, just as people think. And people are liking it really well. And that's a huge plus. But eventually, this year, I'm going to have a website, going to have all those songs mixed and mastered and do shows. So for the fans, it's going to be really good. And eventually it's going to catch on, and I'll have no problem making a living off it. I know that for a fact. So thank you for that before you even help me out. If I don't do this for a living, it's going to be a really bad day.